Some of the most common questions we come across when playing Rise of Kingdoms is what are the best commanders in RoK, what are the top 7 commander pairing or 5 if you're not spending as much, best accessories to craft, best troop type to use, best civilization to be using, and all these other questions. Now we try to answer all of these questions in multiple videos, live streams and so on, but in this video we're going to make it a bit more special. We're going to try to answer all these questions using data from all the top player reviews that we have done in the past. We are choosing 10 players for this video to use the data. The first player in question is IAM Strong from 1V with 18 billion kill points. The next one is Dark Hassan 60 GT, 16 billion kill points. Star from JST 1365, 20 billion kill points. Baba TC Ataturk 1556, 33 billion kill points. Says playing in 1254, not 128 but just 28 billion KP. Arvix 2489 with 16 billion KB. Paw Paw 1093, 18 billion KB. Kill JST 1365, 18 billion KB. DY Kill OneV 17 billion KB. And lastly for 1556, 34 billion KB. Between these top 10 players, they got more than 200 billion KB. That's more than 20 billion KB on average. Now let's try to answer some of the questions using their examples. Attila Takeda still good investment? Only 1 out of the 10 players still use it as their preferred march, so probably not. Is Herald a good investment? Only 1 out of 10 uses Herald, so probably not. When it comes to YSG, our favorite commander, 9 out of 10 use YSG, so definitely go for it. And then what's the best civilization? Ottoman. 5 out of 10 people use Ottoman, 2 out of 10 use Germany. They're probably the top 2. What's the best troop type? Out of the 70 possible marches, only 15 marches infantry, 25 archers and 23 cavalry. Next up we have a crafting question. So is it gonna be what drum, horn or ring? Looks like horn and ring very close, with horn actually winning with 34 to 31. There's a lot more coming up, but then it's time to like and subscribe, basically making sure that you are telling me to make these videos in future and making sure you get access to them. Now the next question we want to answer is whether you should be using a mixed troop march. The answer is 6 out of the 10 does use one mixed troop march led by Trajan. Now we are going to be heading into an even more interesting area. 10 out of 10 players use 4 commanders all the time, and 9 out of the 10 players use another 4 commanders all the time. And then there are 6 plus players that use these 5 commanders all the time as well, basically saying there are 13 commanders that these top 10 players love a lot, and they have 20 billion plus kill point on average, so it's probably a good idea to just go for these commanders. Now let's have a look at the 10 out of 10 usage commanders, so basically the top 4 commanders. So firstly you got Nevsky, and then you got William, you got Scipio, and lastly you got Honda. So these are the top 4 commanders that everyone is using in terms of our top 10 player list. And then there are 9 out of 10 commander usage. You got 1 there, you got YSG there, and then you got Nebu, and then lastly you got William. Now the surprise here is probably Joan, but don't worry, Joan has the 8 out of 10 usage here in the next list. So firstly you got Buriga there, you got Joan there, you got Artemisia there, and then you got Tamiris, and then lastly Trajan. So that makes up the top 13 commanders that these top 10 players are using. Want to see their pairing? Well, that's coming up, but just make sure that you have liked and subscribed, and we will go for more. Now the most common pair used by these top 10 players is Nevsky and Joan 7 out of 10 times, and then you got Boudica and Artemisia 5 out of 10 times, and then XY William 4 out of 10 times, and then Nebu and YSG 4 out of 10 as well. In the 4 out of 10 category you got this is confusing. You got Juan and Scipio, and then you got Scipio and Honda as well. So let's see if we can break it down a little bit more for you guys and make it less confusing. So this is the breakdown of commander pairing. Now we are going to try to elaborate this a little bit more from a primary commander point of view. So Nevsky is being used primary 10 out of 10 times, and 7 out of those 10 times he is paired with Joan, and then the other 3 times he is being paired with William. And we are going to kind of continue that trend with XY as well. So XY is being used 10 out of 10 times, and 3 out of, or actually 4 out of those 10 times being used with William, and Honda with 3 times, and Mehmet makes the cut as well with 3 times. He's being paired with XY out of the possible 10 times from the 10 players. Now you got Guan, 9 players are using him primary, and out of the 9 times, 4 of the times he's paired with Scipio. Leo makes the cut with 2, and Alex makes the cut with 2 as well. So that's the Guan pairing possible options by these top 10 players. And then Boudica is used as primary 8 times. Out of the 8, she is being paired with Artemisia for 5 times, and with YSG the other 3. So these 2 seems to be the most common pairings for Boudica. Now Nebu is there, up there as well, with 6 primary usages, and out of the 6 times, YSG is the preferred choice 4 times. YSG 1 time being used with Tomiris, and once being used with Gilgamesh. Not necessarily my favorite pairings, but then it's not about my preference, it's about these top players' preference. Then Scipio is being used 6 times as primary, 4 times he's being paired with Honda, and Mehmet appears with 1 entry there as well. And then lastly, you got 1 usage of CJ, and that's just 1 time CJ appears in this list. And then you got Trajan. Trajan is being used primary 5 times. Actually, once he was being used as secondary, but 5 times primary. Out of the 5, twice he's paired with Mulan for the support buffs, and then you got Honda for the damage twice, and then Harold, his only usage comes here as a secondary to Trajan once. Now, based off all of that, let's see if we can make him top 5 marches, best 7 marches, all of that coming up. Reminder for liking and subscribing in case if you haven't done that already. Now let's talk about the 5 marches. The first one is a cavalry march, Joan with Nevsky primary, and then you got an infantry march, Guan and Scipio. Then your first archer march is going to be Boudica and Artemisia. Now the 4th march looks to be an archer as well, that's going to be Nebu and YSG. Now for the 5th march, you can go with a mixed march with Trajan and Honda. You are going to be just as good if you go with XY and Honda or XY and William. So that's your 5 march pairing. Now for the 6th march, in case if you went with the Honda and Scipio, in this case you can just add in the XY and William. That's your 6th march. Now in terms of your 7th march, the mandatory beat is going to be using a Tomiris. Now for the primary, the most common choice seems to be Gilgamesh amongst these top 10 players that we're reviewing today. So that makes up the top 7 marches. So these top 10 players are actually preferring 1 infantry march, 1 mixed troop march, 2 cavalry marches, and 3 archer marches. So again, if you're following the commander pairing plan from these top 10 players, you're highly unlikely to go wrong. Now this is not the end of the video. We're gonna try to find out a bit more from what these guys are doing. So firstly, they don't like using 1 single troop type. Most of them are using a variety of troop types. Now 5 out of 10 times we are seeing only 1 infantry march. Also, only 2 out of the 10 prefer the ring over the horn. So horn seems to be a little bit more. Now, the other interesting thing we found is out of the 87 commanders available in Rise of Kingdoms, these 10 players are only using 26 out of that. Now, if you want to find out what are these 26 commanders and how many times they're being used, the list is on the right hand side. Now, some other quick observations. Chandra is still there with 3 use. Cyrus is there with 3 use as well, whereas Harold has only 1 use. Now that could be surprising. Mulan is still there with 2 usages, and then you got Pakal with 0, no surprise there. And then you got Alex with 2, so kinda exciting for me. And then you got Saladin with 1 usage, and then you have Attila with only 1 usage as well. Athelfled didn't make the cut with 0 usage. Mehmet with 4, and that is exciting. Mehmet is our favorite commander in the game. So Mehmet wins the award for the best gold key commander with the highest usage amongst these top players that we are reviewing. Now these are not the only big players in the game. I'm sure there are other bigger players who use other combinations as well, but you're highly unlikely to go wrong if you follow what these top players are using. If you want to see individual reviews of these players, you'll have the link at the top right hand corner. Now I'm gonna say bye for now, and I look forward to seeing your thoughts on the comment section.